Okay, so for Chapter 12, we're going to focus on the difference between point of view and perspective. So point of view is based on who is telling or narrating the story. So simply, there are three basic types of point of view in literature. You have first-person point of view, which is when the narrator refers to him or herself using pronouns I, me, or my. Most stories are told from this point of view. Second point of view is when the narrator is speaking directly to the reader using the pronoun you. This is more of an uncommon narration. Not many stories use this type of point of view. We will read one later this year that does. Third person is when the narrator refers to all characters using pronouns he, she, or them. This is the second most common type of narration. This narrator is also called omniscient, when they know everyone's thoughts and see their actions when they're alone. So this kind of narration tells us everything that's going on. In To Kill a Mockingbird, it's a first-person narration. Scout is the narrator. The entire story is told from her point of view. As we've discussed before, it's her as an adult looking back on this childhood experience over the course of a year. But we only know as much as she knows. So if something's happening outside of her point of view or outside of her, so if Atticus is doing something, we don't really know what he's doing or why he's doing it, unless we're just given Scout's opinion on what's happening. So it's a first-person narration can be difficult to trust. But we know this is first-person narration because of the way the story is written. So to take this introduction to Chapter 12, Jem was 12. He was difficult to live with, inconsistent, moody, his appetite was appalling, and he told me so many times to stop pestering him. I consulted Atticus. Reckon he's got tapeworm? Atticus said no. Jem was growing. I must be patient with him and disturb him as little as possible. So we can tell that this is first-person narration because we are getting references to other people using pronouns like he and his. So it's Scout talking about Jem here, obviously, and then when she is referring to herself, we have I. So I consulted. So we're getting those first-person pronouns. I. Now, perspective is the way a character experiences an event or views other characters. So this is where things can get a little bit tricky and affect our understanding of the novel. Because in first-person narration, the perspective is limited because we're only given that one character's perspective. So, in real life, our perspectives change over time as we mature and experience new things. The same things happen for characters in literature. As the story progresses and goes on, their perspectives change and mature. So in this novel, Scout's perspective is going to change as the story goes on because she's getting progressively older throughout the story. So changing perspectives in literature often reveal to us the theme or universal truth that a novel is trying to reveal. So it's really important that we are following perspectives and how they change as the story goes on. So perspective in To Kill a Mockingbird, this novel is known as a coming-of-age novel, which is essentially the characters start off really innocent and immature, and then as the novel goes on and they become more mature, they are leaving that innocence of childhood and entering into adulthood. As the story goes on and Scout goes through the various experiences she has, her perspective changes around the people. As she matures, so does the way she views other people and events. So tracking the changes in her perspective is one way that we can identify theme. So identifying theme is the reason why we read the stories that we read. So it's important that we are tracking Scout's changing perspective as the novel goes on. And so in Chapter 12, we're in part 2 of the novel, and her perspective is going to start changing on multiple topics. So in OneNote, where your Chapter 12 work is, here in Step 1, where this video is going to be put. So this is your lesson. Step 2 has the audiobook set for you already, and then you have 4 questions. So first question on page 153 to 155, how is Scout and Jem's relationship changing? You want to pay attention to what she is saying about their current relationship. So remember in the beginning how they were best friends and spent all this time together. Now Jem isn't wanting to hang out with her, so you want to think about why that might be. On page 154, is Calpurnia a female role model for Scout? So you also want to remember in the beginning of the novel, Scout couldn't stand being around Calpurnia because Calpurnia was always yelling at her and correcting her. So how is their relationship changing? On page 166, how are Jem and Scout's perspectives on Calpurnia changing? So you want to pay attention to the things that they're learning about Calpurnia, and also remember back to the beginning, they only viewed her as their maid. So what are they learning about her now, and how is that affecting how they see her as a whole person and not just their maid? What does Scout mean when she says that Calpurnia lived a double life on page 167? So again, you want to pay attention to what Scout is saying and what Calpurnia is saying and doing. So they're learning something about what it means to be different. So remember, Scout and Jem are white little children. Calpurnia is a black woman. So they are learning about the differences in their society. So this is a very important part in the novel as they are learning and changing their perspectives. Okay, so then finally, the last thing that you'll need to do is complete the quiz in this form. So you will click on the link to the form, and that's going to take you to this form. So you're going to answer this part A, part B, and then you're going to type your answer to the third question. You need to make sure you are using race to answer this question, and then make sure you push submit when you are finished. There will also be an assigned achieve article, but I will tell you that when we begin this lesson on Monday. All right.